Welcome to another quick tour of a team that me or Jordan have put together, and this time we've got Ladies Night. These are all women, and this is an Asgardian theme team. So let's just get right into it. First, I built this team for my girlfriend. So, guys, if you want to get your girl into Heroclix, pick this team up. Unfortunately, the Blackwood is a little expensive, but there's other pieces that you can run in that slot as Asgardians. Also, notably, technically, all of these characters have shown up in the MCU. So, if your girl likes the Marvel movies, pick this team up for her. She'll recognize some of these characters. I say technically because this is MJ. It's not Zendaya MJ, obviously. It's the Mary Jane from the comics, but you can just tell them that it's basically Zendaya and they'll get to it, okay? That's what I did with my girlfriend. She loved it, okay? So, starting with the big piece of the team, Black Widow Thor. So, she is our main attacker, our main carry piece, coming in at 75 points, taking the most points out of the team. She has, first, this traded ability, using the tuning fork to summon the lurker. At the beginning of your turn, you may roll a d6 and give Black Widow a number of summon tokens equal to the result. As a free action, you can remove 6 and generate the lurker bystander, max 1. It means you can only have 1 on the board at a time, but as long as you have more tokens, you can keep summoning the guy. Looking at the back here, we'll see the lurker token has the Mystic's team ability, which is very important, the flurry range ability, and some invulnerability with 3 damage and a 10 attack. Not a crazy good piece, but definitely not bad by any means. Gonna take a little bit to take this thing out. It is also has this traded ability. If an opposing character has been KO'd since you last turn, modify attack +1. So now that flurry 10 turns into a flurry 12. Very threatening. But if a friendly character has been KO'd since your last turn, modify attack -2. So that 10 turns into an 8, and then he's basically not attacking that turn. This friendly character KO'd clause is almost certainly going to come in if your opponents kill your Darcys. They don't have a whole lot of health, so keep an eye on that when you're running the team. But if you can take a kill out with Black Widow, you can then summon the lurker, assuming you have the number of points, and the lurker still sees that KO. So one thing that I like to do is running shot the Black Widow up adjacent to one other person, but so that she's in range to somebody she can kill. Then you take the shot, you kill the other person that's off the map in this example. Then, if she has the 6 tokens assumedly, you summon the lurker. The lurker has seen the other character die, and he is adjacent to this guy right here in our example. Then the lurker can make 2 flurry attacks, add an attack of 12 for 3 damage into this guy. Hopefully they die, but if they don't, then the lurker is now standing between this character and Black Widow. So they can't make a ranged attack back. So this is very nice to protect our Black Widow, as well as making some annoying attacks along the way. Looking at the rest of her dial, on the top half there, she has the special ability, Energy Shield Explosion, Penetrating Psychic Blast. So that helps with getting the kill. She has 3 targets with Energy Explosion, so you're gonna hit their entire team basically. They can't run away from you. They can't split up enough because you have 3 targets as long as they're in range. And Energy Explosion is gonna hit them all if they're grouped up. Plus, she can make range attacks while based. So you don't even need to be super worried if they run up to you. It's fine, you have Impervious. You'll get Super Senses later on. You have Close Combat Expert the entire way down with 3 targets. So if they just swarm you, you just start making melee attacks. That's totally fine. So I really like this Black Widow piece as our core attacker. We also have the Avengers team ability here to increase our movement by +1, just in case we need it. And she is the starting build of the team. Next up, we've got Sylvie from the Disney+. So, Sylvie moving forward here. So, she has the ability to start with a Tesseract. If you want to move the team around a little bit and cut 5 points, you can do that. This team does not have her with the Tesseract. She has a traded Stealth and Shape Change, but she succeeds on a 4 through 6. And when she uses Shape Change and succeeds, she can't be targeted by any opposing effects until your next turn. She can still be attacked by opponent's attacks, but she can't be perplexed, she can't be probed, she can't be outwit. There's a bunch of other stuff that she can't be affected by. Those 3 are the main ones, but she cannot be targeted by opposing effects. So, it's very important because she has an increased shape change and stealth the whole way down. So, that is very nice for keeping her safe. Looking at the back of her dial to see where her special things come up. She comes in at a nice clean 60 points with Outwit, Pulse Wave, and Super Senses, and the Mystic's team ability for 60 points for 6 clicks. She goes into a little melee mode in the back, and is a little more range on the top half. Her special movement ability there is Mind Control, and when she uses it, after resolution, she may use Mind Control as free, but only to target a character adjacent to a previous targeted character that she hasn't targeted with Mind Control this turn, regardless of range, line of fire, or adjacency. Basically, this means that she Mind Controls one person, moves them around, does the Mind Control thing, and then whoever they're standing next to, she can roll Mind Control again against. She can only do this once, because you can only take the same free action once in a turn, otherwise this would chain semi-infinitely. But that mind control is very important for maneuvering opponents out and just being annoying mind control shenanigans. Mind control is always annoying as hell. So you have a excellent mind control piece here, and if you can squeeze the points for the Tesseract, you can get some phasing teleport and a probability control in there off the Tesseract ability. I was unable to for this team because I wanted to run it like this, but if you are mixing around with the Ladies' Night theme, keep that in mind for the future. Next up, we've got Mary Jane. This is Mary Jane Thor, so if your girlfriend asks, why is Mary Jane here? It's because she's Thor as well. She has this trait here that says when establishing theme teams, characters on your starting force with the Asgardian or deity keywords gain the Spider-Man family team ability. This is not super important for actually making a theme team for this team, but our other traded ability here, we'll pick that up in a minute. Everyone here is an Asgardian, so we are both an Asgardian and a Spider-Man family theme team. This doesn't really give any bonuses besides we're cool, but looking into this next trait, it says when Mary Jane hits an opposing characters, if no character has been placed this turn, so mainly carried, you can roll a d6. On a 3 through 6, you place another friendly character with the Spider-Man family keyword adjacent to Mary Jane. That is anyone on the team. So if Mary Jane runs up, makes a running shot, shoots at somebody, you can place Black Widow next to her, and then she wasn't carried. Black Widow can just start moving. She can start attacking. She can teleport up there. Very useful for getting deep into your opponent's team on turn 1 if you can get the Mary Jane to make an attack first on your team, and she has dual targeting as well, similar to the 3 targets there. This is a very useful placing ability for maneuvering. If one of your pieces are locked next to an opponent's piece and she hits, you can teleport them out of there. They don't have to make a breakaway roll or anything and can still take their turn as normal. Very important. She has this special damage ability that says when Mary Jane hits with a range attack, you choose a hit target until your next turn. That character has immobile and modifies attack and defense -1. Very funny. If you can stick this on somebody who is a melee piece, they cannot move, they cannot be placed, they cannot be moved around, they're just stuck there. And if they don't have range, and they're not next to anybody, they can't do anything. Comboing this with her previous trait where you hit somebody, you pin them, and then you teleport whoever they were next to away, potentially even after attacking them with that piece, can be extremely annoying. Plus, the pinned character gets -1 to attack and defense, allowing your rest of your pieces to pick them off a little easier. And even if they do still stay next to some melee piece, they are getting their attack reduced by 1. Looking at the rest of her dial, we are playing her on her 60-point line here. She has Running Shot, Energy Explosion, Invulnerable, and the special damage ability on the top there. Then she goes to a more melee piece with Charge and Quake with close combat reflexes. This team is quite nice because on the top, these two are very ranged, but then when your opponents get into them, they turn very melee. And the Mind Control with Sylvie can be used at range or in melee. So she's either, right? So this team is very adaptive to what your opponent's game plan is trying to be. You can be melee or ranged as the game is fit. Next up, we've got this Lady Sif figure. Personally, I'm a big fan of the rally ability, so anytime I can try and fit a rally figure onto a team, I jump at it. Her rally here is that she has traded Flurry, which is already very nice as a melee piece with some charge on the top dial. She can run in there and make multiple attacks. And then whenever you roll a 1, she gets a die. And as a free action, you can remove one of her dice to make a close attack. This does not synergize with her Flurry, unfortunately, so you do not get to make another Flurry attack, but you can make 3 attacks with this Lady Sif, which is very powerful. 3 attacks on any one character for only 1 action, crazy strong. She doesn't have any special traded abilities beyond that, so looking at her stats and her numbers here, she's a bit of a color pie, bit of a mess, but she's only 55 points for 6 clicks, which is pretty good on rate, at a little over 1 click of life per 10 points. She's got some scattered abilities all over, so you will be kind of having to play her as she shows. There is no like dedicated game plan with this figure. But we do see a few patterns. Namely, whenever she has charge, she also has Blades, Claws, Fangs. She gets sidestep when she's not on those, so she can always be moving and attacking. And with the Flurry, you can charge, Flurry, Blades both times. Then if you have the Rally die, which you might have gotten after rolling one of your dials off the Flurry, you can remove the die and then make an attack again. Very nice. She's almost always attacking 3 times. And she's got some nice defensive stats to boot. She's got an 18 most of the way down into the 17. The toughness clicks are a little rough. This one is benefited a little bit because it has the charge and blades click. But the lower dials here have the exploit weakness, and she has scattered, close combat expert, and leadership. The close combat expert can be coming in pretty nice with the flurry, so she can be making 3 attacks with 4 damage and 12 attack if she's in range. Pretty nice when you can remove that rally die. Really like this Sif piece as another melee attacker, and going along with the Ladies' Night Asgardian movies theme that we're trying to fit in on this team. And last but not least, we've got Darcy Lewis. Not a huge character in the Marvel movies, but definitely very big in WandaVision, which is, let's all be honest, one of the better shows from the Disney Plus runs of MCU TV shows, and Darcy Lewis was a fan favorite character in that show. She's not super flashy, but for her points, she does a lot of work. She's got only 4 abilities, and technically this is just these 2 abilities twice, so she only has 4 if you count the Shield Team ability, which is important on this team. She's got Outwit, Perplex, she's got Stealth or Hold Dial, then she flicks between Outwit and Perplex on her back end. Let's look at it real quick. 25 points. We are playing 2 of them at 50 points total. We've got Stealth on the top 2 with the Outwit Perplex. Then we go to Outwit, then Perplex. Then we pick back up the Outwit Perplex. Her defense stats are really low. She's not an attacker. You just want her next to your main attackers, flying around, giving the Perplex, giving the Outwit. Luckily for us, the Black Widow Thor and the Mary Jane Thor both have flying, so they can carry their respective Darcys. If you want to pair them up with those, that is definitely not a bad strategy by any means. Just stick them next to their carriers. And then the shield team ability is also very important for both of those figures. Adjacent friendly characters modify their range by +1. And Darcy can be given a power action to choose an adjacent friendly character, and on this turn when they make a range attack, they get their damage increased by 1. So when the Darcys start next to their respective Thors, they can take a power action if you have the action economy to spare. Take the power action. When this thing makes a range attack this turn, it'll get +1 damage. She can running shot out, carrying the Darcy, make an attack, teleport somebody next to her because they're all Spider-Man family. If you hit, pin somebody, that's nice. Or we can do it with Black Widow Thor. Keep in mind, if you plan on using her energy explosion ability, the +1 damage here does not stack with that. It'll still be a 2 damage from the energy explosion, so just keep that in mind when moving this around. But we can increase her damage by 1, then run her around, do our 3 targets, and unload our damage in whoever we see fit. This will also increase her kind of annoying 5 range to a 6 or potentially a 7 range if they're both standing next to each other, and cranks Mary Jane's range all up to an 8, or Sylvie with her mind control, can't forget about that, all the way up to an 8 as well. With some Perplex, we can increase these up by 3 points each because we do cap out at 3, standing next to both of them standing next to Black Widow, and one of them perplexing up her attack and the other one perplexing up her range, then carry her out, make the attack. Very nice. Plus, we get some useful outwit on the team. So that is a quick tour of Ladies Night, a very fun team to give to somebody you are trying to convince to get into the game. I know that my girlfriend loves this team a lot and has convinced her to get into the game, and she's only branched out from there. A lot of the characters are popular from the MCU, or at least known in the MCU, as well as all being our badass lady bitches. And it's still a very competent and effective team. It is a theme team for both Asgardian and Spider-Man family, with Mary Jane synergizing with the Spider-Man family, Black Widow summoning the Lurker and being able to be a powerhouse all by herself, Sylvie having the Mystics team ability along with our Lurker token, and being a very, very annoying mind control piece. Our 2 Darcys for support, and our Lady Sif is a backup melee attacker to get into their face before our other Thors turn into melee pieces themselves. Definitely get this team for yourself if you have a girlfriend that you're trying to get into the game. She will love it. I know that mine definitely did. Definitely a very effective team and very fun all the way through. And with that, we will see you guys next time.